Y'all, welcome back once again. Esoteric Cloud Surfer here on IG, ready to do a vice versa interview with Arch Z Angel. My cat is meowing, just waiting for her to pop up here. There she goes. Hi, and we want to accept that. Okay. And shout out to everybody watching right now. Or hi, Archangel, Arch Z Angel. Hi, welcome to the live stream.
Thank you.
I hope you are having a wonderful day.
Yes, you too. You too. I'm excited.
Me too. Let's get into it. First, let's present ourselves, right? I'm Esoteric Cloud Surfer, and you can see my content here on IG. I do tarot, astrology, and recently I've started a gaming channel. So you can check all that out in my link tree. It's in my profile. And Arch, tell us what you do.
Hey. I'm Arx the Angel, also known as Arx. I'm an astrologer, a card reader, musician, artist, all that fun stuff. And you can basically find me here on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. I have a link in my description. And you can find me on Twitter as well, just the same name, just AAARCHG.
All right, that's it. So you can find both of our contents on our profile page. So check that out. Me, Esoteric Cloud Surfer, and Arch Z Angel as well. So for those who don't know, this is my format that I did on YouTube, but now we are doing here on IG, and it's called Vice Versa Interviews. And in this format, I will be the host, and Arch will be the guest, but also Arch will be also the host and the guest at the same time. So we will have questions for each other. I will propose questions. She will answer. She will propose questions, and I will answer. All right? So before we start, shout out to everybody watching right now. I hope everybody's having a good day, afternoon, dawn, dusk, whatever you are. I wish you the best energies, the best feelings, emotions, ideas, and thoughts, and a lot of creativity and individuality to maintain your sanity. All right? So, Arch, before we start, let's present ourselves in a real way, and let's talk about a little bit our trinity, the moon, the sun, and the space we chose to come down here. All right? So, I'll do the honors first. I have an Aquarius sun, a Taurus moon, and a Libra rising. So I'm always learning. I have that sun and moon square. Every day for me is a lesson. But I like to communicate that and create new ways to not let that square perturb, okay, and balance, because that can be an extreme or very simple for a Libra rising. I create new ways, sophisticated and light ways to gather the information of my learning process and still be relatable and open to the world as well. So, and how did you get here, Arch? Where you stop? Your spirit was chilling, and then you stop in some places where your spirit was chilling.
Oh, look, my spirit nearly came down as a Cancerian. And I said, no fucking way. No way in the world am I going to do that. So I came down, and I'm a 6-degree Leo sun conjunct Lilith.
Oh.
So very strong, very powerful, raw femininity, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
12th house Capricorn moon in a 6-degree conjunction with my Neptune. Okay. So some deep thoughts.
Yeah.
Definitely learned a lot of lessons there, a lot of Saturnian lessons there, which I'm very grateful for. True. And I have an Aquarius rising, so that's where we meet in the Aquarius energy there.
Oh, so yeah. Changing the world right now by being ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my rising and my Aquarius rising and my Leo sun are opposing each other by just a few degrees.
Okay, so it's almost direct opposition.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my rising is at 10 degrees while my sun is at 6 degrees. So there's a bit of a there, but
yeah, it still counts. It's still a direct opposition. So you got there. a big opportunity, because I like to decipher words, and that opposition is just a big opportunity. They start with the same letters, right? So you
Oh,
have
I
a
love
great
that.
opportunity. Like, you can't miss that opportunity. Like with the sextiles, imagine Sun sextiling Saturn. You choose, or you have the ability to choose to enter that opportunity or to stay out of
Yeah.
it. With an opposition,
Yeah.
you have no choice. You are in it already. So it's an
Yeah.
opportunity for clash or extreme balance. And actually, I believe that the Leo Aquarius opposition is the most relatable opposition in the
Yes.
most. Like, nothing is really the most, but it's easier
No, I
to
agree with
relate
that
those
though,
energies, you
definitely.
know.
Absolutely, absolutely. It creates like a vortex, like a portal, but it's like you're
True.
constantly living in this portal. So you're constantly manifesting, you're constantly going between these
Yeah,
two
either you
realms,
like it or
basically.
not, right?
Exactly. You got to make the most of it.
True. That's true. That's right. So my
Yeah.
first question for you, shout out to everybody in the chat right now. I hope you are
Yeah, shout
enjoying
outs
this
all
until now.
good.
All right, feeling some good energies in the air, because I'm an air sign as well, right?
Yeah.
So okay, focusing. Okay, so my first question to you is highly related to our introduction of your Trinity, because I have a lot of Saturnian energies. I have an Aquarius stellium, right, and a
Yeah.
Libra rising. So I'm not all about Saturn, but I'm very much about Saturn. And you have that Capricorn moon, which is that internal side of Saturn. So
Yes.
I have a video on YouTube where I express my personal perspective about the Saturnian energy. And my first question to you is, what's your personal perspective of Saturn energy, especially focusing on how people can misunderstand the Saturn energy, and how can you clear that perspective for everybody out there that is stressing, or it's a bit slow for them, the pressure, they think they can't handle it, but they can, because we know about that. So what's your personal
Mm-hmm.
perspective on that Saturn
Ooh,
energy?
that's a great question. That's a fantastic question. Yeah, I think Saturnian energy as well as Plutonian energy as well gets a super bad reputation in astrology. Like
True.
it's seen as very harsh, it's seen as very cold even.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
true.
I mean, everything is perspective, you know what I mean? Like when I was growing up, like even before I knew about astrology and everything like that, I can have a look now, looking back at the influence that Saturn had on my life, having, I have Neptune, the moon, and also Jupiter as well
Oh,
in
also
Capricorn.
Jupiter. Okay.
Yes, also Jupiter in the 11th house. And then
Mm.
I've got Uranus in Aquarius, which is also, Saturn ruled, and then my Aquarius rising too. So I have a lot of Saturn energy going on in my
Indeed.
in my chart. And I do think like there is a lot of lessons, Saturn is very karmic. And so you have
Yeah,
to
and
go through,
just a quick step,
yeah,
because when you said karmic, I actually
yes,
understand karmic, and
yes, yes, you would.
those Saturn lessons, I believe, are the ones you are like, when you are going through it, it looks like the worst, but then you just laugh at those things, right? So I'm sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
No, you're all good. You're all good. No, I think, yeah, exactly. Like it seems super hard, like when you're going through it. But like I look back at these lessons where, honestly, like Saturnian lessons, sometimes you don't think that you're gonna get out of it. You're like, this
True.
is it.
That's
I'm gonna
true.
fucking die. Like, and
I'm never going to see the light of day again. Just dark.
yes, yes, this is it. There's nothing else. There's no one there to help me. I think that's another big thing about having all these Saturn placements in both, Capricorn and Aquarius. I've noticed as well with friends who have these placements too, especially on the moon too.
True.
It's like no one's there, like no one's there around you. You often don't have,
Mhm.
parental figures growing up that are there to support you.
Yeah.
You don't have friends and family. You might not even have money and things like that around you as well. Like there's no support system, so you have to
True.
grow up very quickly,
Very
and
quickly.
you have
Very quickly.
very quickly, and you have to learn how to regulate your emotions very quickly as
True.
well. And I think that's a misconception about Saturnian placements, because it's like we're seen as being very unemotional when really
But
we're
yeah,
very emotional
true.
beings. We just don't, we've never had the choice to
To
be
learn,
able to,
yeah, to
yeah,
express
like
it, because
there's no time to be emotional. We just got to
yeah,
get shit done, you know?
but we are emotional. We just don't express it as much.
Yes,
But not
yes,
expressing doesn't mean it's not real, and
yeah,
that's exactly the problem. We get emotional towards real things, or that we think that are real, right? And
yeah,
when most people get things like easier, they can connect easily with others. It's not like a criticizing, but some people are like go happy go lucky, and sometimes we not we but me as an Aquarius, I'll be very mad at those people, like how can they be so easygoing, how are not they seeing the reality in those things, how do
right,
they not, I feel so limited, why they don't feel limited, because they are not in that Saturnian energy that
yeah,
enables us to see the limits and levels of everything. And that touches
yes,
with the regulation of emotions that you said. It's a very critical point, because we do are emotional, right? But we don't learn because we didn't have that support, that parent support or financial support. We don't see the benefit, emotionally speaking, of showing those emotions, because we expect to be hurt in many shapes and forms. It can be just judgment from others in case of Aquarius, because we are too much in the air, right? So that makes working, limiting, separating, and organizing those emotions instead of letting them flow. That's why
yeah,
I think that's very impactful on people that don't have a lot of Saturnian energy, and suddenly they face that need to organize their emotions instead of just letting things flow. And I think that's very
yes.
impactful, if you know what I'm
It
saying.
definitely is. Like I learned at a very young age that crying wasn't going to get me anywhere in life. It
True.
wasn't going to make me, it wasn't going to make anyone hug me. It wasn't going to make anyone anything better for me. So I learned very young. I was like, you know what? If I literally fall down and get hurt and I scrape my knee or whatever, just get up, smile, laugh, be like, all right, that was
Yeah,
fun. Next, like it's very much like that. And I think Saturnian people very much have a lot of closets and a lot of boxes and
true.
shelves in their mind.
A lot
They
of boxes,
they
a lot
sort
of
things out.
houses. Yeah, that's for real.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I want to, just to finish up the question, I want to take another thing you said. It's like we have nobody for us there. But when we
Hmm.
start to build our own support from ourselves,
Yeah,
very quickly we manifest people that, hey, you help yourself so much that I want to help you just because you help yourself so much. And
yes,
sometimes
yes,
we are so deep into, man, nobody helped me, I'm doing this on my own, that people try to help us and connect, and we, hey, are you trying to judge my building? You never, like, I want to help you, and they be like, we want to help you build, and be like, what is that help? I
yeah,
don't, you know. But the positive side is when we start to be there for ourselves, we manifest a lot of people that are there for themselves and ourselves as well. So we have the ability to know where the real support is, and that's very
yeah,
important for me. By having a Taurus moon, it's very important, because I can attract a lot of people. They want me as their support, but that
hmm,
Saturnian energy always made me see like, no, that's not real. That person is not able to support me as they want me to support them. So yeah, that Saturnian
right,
element is very important to regulate the emotions. It might seem hard,
yeah,
but in the end of the day, is extremely beneficial for you and the ones around you. All right.
100%. I
Oh,
agree
so
entirely.
throw in your
I,
first question.
My question for you is actually art based
All right.
because you know we're both artists and I
Mhm.
love your art. I think it's so
Thank
cool.
you.
Very
I like your
all
art as well.
colors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So my question is like, what is the or is there or what is the intention and purpose or meaning and reason behind the artworks do you do?
Yeah.
Is there manifestation? Is there just channeling your energies? Like, what is that?
It started as a emotional awakening trigger, because many people that have spiritual awakenings, me too, but especially I had an emotional awakening because I have very dry and cold energies, Aquarius, Taurus, Libra. So
Right.
what I really need to learn, and I started that learning process, was an emotional awakening, right? So the paintings, it was like, I have Pisces South Node, by the way, and
Oh, okay.
I have that memory of a friend of mine. He was a Virgo, and he was like, you have the face of an artist. You have the air. Here in Portugal, we use that expression. You have the air of something. You have the air of sad. You have the, and like at the moment that didn't resonate with me. But when I was presented with the opportunity to start painting, that memory came back, and never not it. That memory wasn't the trigger; it was just a confirmation. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You know. So,
Yeah.
and then that Pisces South Node revealed itself, right, in making me very comfortable while I'm painting. I can feel certain colors. Like I love to paint with black. Oops, I
Yes.
don't like to make my paintings full of black, but when I'm using black, I can feel my darker moods really go into the painting, and it starts to flow, right?
Right.
When I'm painting with red, sometimes some discussions or some aggression that I had with my friends comes back, and in that moment, sometimes I pause my painting and I feel healing. Literally, it's very practical because that South Node is in my sixth house on Pisces. So it's really through that routine and pattern, because as you can see, I don't have a lot of shapes in my paintings, right? And that they work as a manifestation tool, because I can, even though they are not precise, sometimes I try to make them precise and then I sleep and then I have to adapt, right? But in the moment, I was focusing so much in being precise in my intentions, that works as a manifestation, like training, I don't use them to literally manifestate, but to uh, make me see the first step into the water realm that sometimes I have difficult to reach by my own, So it's a earthly process that leads me into water, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because it's really about routine and pattern. Sometimes I procrastinate a lot, and then I have like to fight myself to go back to that painting, because I have that feeling I really want to finish it, but I have some insecurities. I think I can do that shape and form, and that scares me because North Node in Virgo. I have to be precise, and that makes me doubt myself. But every time I go back and I finish that painting, I feel that I'm a step stronger into my ability to express myself in a way that matches that dream of Pisces South Node, but through shape and form, because I already know how to not use shape and form to communicate. I want to give that shape and form, but that makes me nervous or a little bit scared. So it works in that way, by connecting the earth and water element to make my feelings and dreams come through via manifestation. Yeah, it's that.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That's
Maybe
great.
it was too
I
long.
know
I don't know.
what you mean. I sometimes step away from my artworks as well, and I start getting scared of like am I going to be able to do this? Like I always get scared, like am I going to ruin this if I do it? And I never do, because I believe in art. There's no such thing as ruining something. It's
Me
just
too,
morphing
but
into something else.
I place those limits on myself, and that's why
Yeah.
me accepting, like that sun over here, you see the rays, they are very wiggly, and I wanted to change them. When I finished the painting, I want to change them, but then I was like, no, art doesn't have a specific shape and form. And the fact, like me, like I accepting that finishing product helps me accept that what you said, that you just said right now, and that's a great relief for my spiritual expression, even in my videos and other areas of my life as well.
Yeah, that's really funny that you pointed out the sun, actually, because when we first started the video, the sun, I mean, as a Leo, obviously, was the first thing that I looked at, and I actually thought to myself, I love the wiggly lines.
Yeah, exactly. And then I like them as well. But at first, I have that thing to give a specific shape and form, and that's why painting helps me manifest and stay on par with whatever is going on around me, because it helps me flow or see the flow and not be mad or so stuck at it with my fixed energy, you know. That's awesome for me.
Fantastic.
Okay, nice. So can I go with the next question?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't have a specific order. Let me see. I have some questions that are here related, so I'll leave them for a specific segment.
Sure.
Okay, so how to, in your perspective, explain astrology to beginners? I don't believe there is such thing as spiritual beginner. We are always spirits in bodies, but to people that are not very aware. And I want, I don't want to like, you know, but in a more like real life way. And I'm gonna give you an example. When I'm thinking how to explain astrology to somebody and they dismiss it or they are against me, I have that extreme powerful mind weapon that it's like we live inside of a being, right? Like we have a lot of beings living inside of us. And as I'm talking with you, and when I go out to the supermarket, I have a lot of people around me. The being we live in also has a lot of beings around them. And astrology is the way how those beings influence the being we live in, and then we receive it. And I want to ask your opinion on that vision. And then if you have any personal, like more, like different way to explain astrology to people that are tired of that old way that has a lot of baggage. Yeah, that's it.
Sure. I loved the way that you explained that. Actually, the way that everything is kind of, you know, we have beings inside of us. There's beings inside of, you know, there's different beings inside of you, different beings inside of me. Then those beings have beings, and it goes on, and it fluctuates. It gets bigger, it gets smaller, and I think it's a great way to explain it. I think adding on to that, I think you could even say, you know, we talk about dimensions and things like that, and we talk about how, you know, I think people may get the wrong idea that there is a dimension that is, you know, separate from us, when really the dimensions are all living within one another, all kind of coinciding. One dimension can be here, while one dimension can literally be directly on top of it at the same time, which I think is why certain people can, you know, see into certain entities and spirits and things like that, while others can't. I think it's just that they have an interpersonal, interconnectedness, like relationship with those dimensions. They're somehow living on top or within those dimensions.
And probably they came from that dimension on that previous
that's
lifetime.
A great point.
That's why they can see those things, and I can't, because I don't have organs to sense those frequencies and vibrations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's very interesting. So then, I guess to answer the second part of your question, if I answered that part.
Yeah, I don't know if the question itself is a bit confusing, but it was like, then when I was making the question, I think I got the point, is how to explain astrology, but not in that old way that has like a lot of baggage, but also in a personal way that it's like real life, you know, how you experience that in real life, but also getting away from that old way of like you are this sign, so you are that. No, it's like you experience this thing, so you are that sign. But it's not very clear, I guess. But
no. So let me. So this is something that you know, you said to beginners, how would I explain it? For example, one way that I like to explain astrology to beginners who want to know particularly about, like, you know, reading charts, for example, I explain it as like it's like a pizza. So you know, on a it's a pizza, and you cut the pizza into 12 slices, right? And each slice maybe has a bit of a different flavor, or you know, maybe like, you know, maybe your sun sign is like the base of the pizza, for example, and then your moon sign is like the sauce, and then, you know, you add all these little different things, and it all equals up to, you know, something else. and it becomes the one thing, and it's kind of all corresponding and working in with each other, which I guess then goes back into, you know, the dimensions upon dimensions and the beings within the beings. Yeah, that's how I would explain it to a beginner, is look at it like a
I think it's a great way, because
I think your Taurus moon would be agreeing with that.
Yes. In course, I was already thinking, because a Pisces is a 360, you know, so it's a perfect example, because we are under, or we are in a 360 as well, a circumference, right? So Pisces is a perfect example. And now I'm hungry.
Yes, who doesn't love pizza? 100%, 100%.
All right. So okay,
all right.
I think it has to be in a not childish. I mean, it has to be in a childish, because the childish state is the first step, the first state.
Yeah.
But it is childish, but in a way that removes the heaviness and the weight of astrology. Because every time I've tried to, in my surroundings, not every time, but most times, it will be heavy. I would think, oh, it's so cool, but then as I started to speak, it was already heavy, because the recipients, the audience, was already heavy on that aspect. So I think those examples, those real life examples like pizza or using the sky in itself, the spirit in that body is already attracted to that idea. And even if they speak words of opposition, you can feel they are not really opposite. They are very interested, but they don't want to admit it. You know, so I think that's a great way. And if you want more people on our side, we have to like come down to their level, relate with them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's.
I think there's no point in life, you know. I think in society in general, we kind of put a lot of value into being very educated and being able to, you know, speak with all the really long words and just be super, like, you know, book smart. But I don't think any of that really matters if you can't just relate to people.
True.
Like, you need to be able to relate and communicate. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to get anywhere, and no one's going to learn anything, you know. Doesn't matter how many universities you go to.
That will not help build a new world, just a repetition. So, and we don't want that. Spirits get tired of that real fast.
The magic square.
So I'm ready for the next question.
All right. Well, my second question was actually to do with your birth chart. I was actually going to ask you about what kind of energies you were utilizing, but that was your very, very first thing before we even got into it. So I'll jump into the third question, which was, as a Venus-ruled person, what is your best relationship advice for a healthy, or like I like to say, heal vibe, because I don't like to say healthy, relationship? Relationship advice from a Taurus Moon, Libra rising.
True, right? Okay. So first is like, I have Venus in Aquarius as well. So that trines my rising and squares my moon. So a lot of my counseling, my advices come from that gift to relate my internal lessons to my partner and create, like, even though I'm all flunked out, I might be all flunked out, the relationship is more important, right? Because that's very important. And I've been thinking about doing a video that I did not fall in love, right? And nobody should fall in love. Everybody should rise in love. And I use that a lot. If I'm all flunked out, I will not bring my partner to that lower flunked outness, right? My partner can help me make the waters flow, right? But there is a certain limit that it's not like I don't want my partner to see my demons. It's not kind of that. It's like, it's my responsibility to deal with that first, so the relationship can fly light and in the most powerful state, right? So first is clear yourself and make sure you understand yourself first before you throw anything into the relationship. You start to play victim. You start to say the partner is to blame. And if you are in a relationship, you are open to those things. You have to accept that sometimes you receive the partner's flunked outness. Sometimes they receive your flunked outness and they don't know what's going on. But you have to recognize you are sharing spaces. You are in the same vehicle together, and we have to be really responsible, because I don't want to criticize anybody, but I see many relationships based only on pleasure, right? And I think it has to be based on responsibility, not compromise. I don't like when people use compromise in relationships, because it's too heavy and scary. Because you don't need to promise your entire life to that person, right? That's
it feels like you're taking away from each other when you have to compromise.
Exactly. So I don't like to use that word where it's like the relationship is two people together, but from your personal point of view, you are the most important in a relationship, right? But you also have to realize you are sharing spaces, right? And you have to do yourself first. And then you are very ready and very open to accept everything that your partner has to offer, or any like extra, because it's not really extra, you agreed with that relationship, but the extra work to balance things out. And you have to put yourself out there. You have to present yourself in the relationship like, I'm here, I'm ready to talk. Communication is very important, right? Very, very important. Even if you are scared to share your feelings, you have to, right? That's what people see as compromise, but that's not compromise. That's just making the relationship have fuel to continue. Is to open up your own side and be ready for any judgment or for any opinion coming from the other side, because they have their own personal perspective, point of view, and the key is to relate that. And sometimes, even if the partner don't agree with you, you still sharing spaces. You can still go in the same direction, but believing in different things. Then there is a limit. You can't go too far, otherwise you separate. But you don't need to be close in everything as well. So my Libra rising is always asking that balance of like, take care of yourself, take care of your partner, be open for your partner, but there are certain things you don't need to accept. And there are certain things that if you accept, that will make the relationship go through paths that both of us don't want, because my partner needs to heal something that I don't need to experience, but I will be there to support. I will be there to take them out of the flunked outness, for them to rest and enjoy themselves. But I will not do their work, and they will not do my work. We will support each other doing our own work. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I agree with that. I agree. That was great. And I want to bring a little bit of attention to something that actually Daria said just then in the group chat. She said, vulnerability is beautiful and makes each other stronger.
True.
I love that.
Yeah, because you have to open yourself and then be ready to receive any output from your partner. First, that shows trust, and that make the spirits come together. And then sometimes we don't understand things at the same level, because we are reaching that point. We are still traveling there. And sometimes one gets already mad, and then when we do reach that point, pride or insecurities don't let us like, hey, actually I get you. Actually I was flunked out, and now I'm ready to parlay, ready to open up. And then we start laughing, and it's really, really light, because we were still like coming together to that point. And that's very much about patience as well. A lot of patience in your relationship, like to make sure that the relationship is something else than you and your partner, because you is one thing, your partner is another thing, and the relationship is something in itself. You know, it's the third thing. 1 + 1 is 3 in the esoteric realm, right? And the relationship is that space. It's not something that now it ends forever, or it's going to be in that way forever. No, that's a space that we are both sharing, and we both need to take care of that space. It's not just taking care of the partner, of the space that we are in as well.
Yeah. Wow, that was great advice.
Thank you.
I learned from that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad I can help, because I'm personally interested in that, right? Libra rising. Yeah, and it's very much about balance, keeping your limits, And it's like you have a huge wall, like the wall of China, but then you have a gate in the wall to let things come in, but sometimes you close the gate, sometimes you open the gate, but the wall is still there. Sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I think that's it. I'm now starting to create new ways to talk about the same thing. Let's stop. Let's stop here.
It's very
Many
Aquarian.
metaphors, many examples. But yeah, I hope it was helpful. I hope it was
It
helpful.
definitely helps. Yeah, that's definitely
I'll
helpful.
learn from that as well. Because by having that Taurus Moon, sometimes I have awarenesses that I'm not aware of them. And when I start speaking, I'll be like, whoa, I know that. That's true. I know that. I forgot I knew that. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question as well. Okay, so can I go for the next question?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so yeah. So by having a Capricorn moon, an Aquarius rising, and the Neptune in Capricorn, very important for this question. How do you think the best way to join business, as in sovereignty, not being the boss of a corporation, like sovereignty and spirituality together without sacrificing one on the or the other? How do you think is the best way to join those two together in this present day and age?
That's a fucking great question. So bringing together kind of that earth base, so the sovereignty, the together with the spirituality. Jeez, that's a fucking question, man. That's a deep question.
Because I think a lot about that. I have that Taurus moon. I need that sense of security, right? And Uranus is in Taurus, so that question, I'm there. I'm there. I'm in that space. I'm in that space.
I think it would have to do with balance again. I think most things end up leading back to balance in one way or another. I guess just being able to, understand your, like the weight of, your physicality, so to speak.
Yeah.
Then like balancing that with your, more, higher up, like, not that there's anything higher or lower, like it's all equal one, you know what I mean? So there's higher up energies, there's more spiritual or inner world kind of energies, just being able to kind of balance that and knowing when to dive into one thing and when to dive into another thing.
Yeah, that's very important. Because like recently I've been doing Pokemon Unite live streams with Dari and the Soul Group, and I've been doing a lot of my gaming channel as well. And I've been not resting a lot because I'm so excited, and I always want to do more videos, but sometimes I feel like my solar plexus is like, it's enough, and then it's like very important. Okay, now it's time to rest. It's not time to think about business, because then if I don't rest now, when I go back to my business is not going to be the best business that I can make. And I always want that. So that's a great example of what you said about knowing the right time to do your spirituality and your business. Especially because, like, you and me, many soul group members, our business comes from our spirituality, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if we have no time in our spirituality, our business will be just like every normal business, not criticizing anybody, but we are in a new age. We are in the new times, right? So our business is special because it comes directly from us as individual beings. And it's very important to know when to be ourselves, when to be a part of the puzzle, right? When to do business, when to rest, when to don't shut my mouth on IG, spend 1 week without doing videos because I'm doing something internally right now. And even though maybe if I don't advertise my business, I don't do so many readings that week, but next week I'm doing readings in an even better way. But you might stress because on that week I'm not doing enough. That's a strong battle. That's a very strong battle. I'm not doing enough. I'm not being productive enough. When when you sleep is when you're working the most, you're doing the most. When you're sleeping, creating all of those worlds and ideas, talk about that, right? So so final final shot, final conclusion, how to join sovereignty and spirituality in this present day and age. Final
Oh my
shot.
goodness. All right. Final shot. Final shot.
If you can like resume it, if you can, just expand on it.
I think it's just going back to balance for me. My brain just keeps on saying balance, balance, balance.
It is.
No, when,
it is.
it's just not like, because I think like we even saw this last week when you contacted me for the interview, right? And I told you, I was like, I would love to, but right now I can't. Like, I'm moving through inner waters. That was me going through the more, you know, I guess inner world, spirituality.
More spiritual. Yeah.
I wasn't focusing so much on my business, which is, you know, doing this sort of stuff, which is fantastic, which I love to do. You know, I'm so excited to do it, but sometimes you've just got to step the fuck back and be like, nah, right now it wouldn't be, you know, beneficial for myself or for you or for anyone watching if I were to stand up here and conduct my business when really I need to be, you know, looking at myself, you know, on the inside, you know, and understanding that and moving through that, processing all of that. So I think just knowing when to step away, focus on yourself, and then when to actually come back out and shine, you know, with your new higher understanding, your new knowledge, you know, of what you've learned through moving through those waters. I think that would be how to bring those two things together, just letting them live in peace and knowing what to do with them and how to do. You know.
And just to add up a more like practical advice that I got for everybody, like the system is very fucked up right now, right? But still there are opportunities that you can take from them and rob them blind. You know, you take some income they are giving you, and you, if you apply that on yourself, because I don't know if I created that perspective for myself that I'm about to present, or if I heard it from anywhere else, then I processed it internally. But it was about independence, and that you shouldn't, that it's not beneficial for you to be independent focused, because you will end up alone. So what we want to do is sovereignty. Sovereignty is not being independent, because like, I don't know how to make pens. You don't know how to make pens. You don't know how to make pens, right? So there is somebody, there is some fact, like if you were truly independent, you need to make your own pens. There is a dice from Magic the Gathering. If I was really independent, I wouldn't go to the store to buy those stuff, you know? So being independent, those dices, let's go. So being independent can be a spiritual trap where you separate from every system that can support you. So even though the system is all fucked up, knowing your limits and boundaries, you can still benefit from the system and feed your own creativity and individuality, and making the seeds of your own personal business grow without having a financial pressure. Because I always think to myself, and that's a revelation of my Pisces South Node, because growing up, I always thought, man, do you know how many artists had to end their careers just to provide food for their families? You know, and that's a proof I have a Pisces South Node, right? And that's true. And right now, you can depend on where you live and the infrastructure around you, but it's very probable, that you can be dependent with a limit, with a boundary, a certain percentage level, but you can be dependent to create your sovereignty on the future. So I think that's an advice from a Taurus Moon, because you can use their stuff for your own fixed way to receive love and profit, aka Taurus Moon, Taurus energy in general, not just Moon, night side of Venus. So that it's not a way to do it, it's a way to start it right now before the real time comes, where you really need to be sovereign. You really need to separate from those infrastructures, because they want to make something with you that you don't accept. So that's okay. I have my own stuff now. Bye. But we have to start to do it right now. So if you have the chance, if you have land, if you have family, it's like tribal times right now, right? But tribal times in the age of technology. So like if you have an aunt with a lot of money, go and ask her to buy you a computer so you can make that run, right? If you can, you don't want to get a job because of certain things they are requiring. You have a grandparent with money. Drop the bullshit, drop the shyness. Hey, grandpa, can you give me money to buy the computer? If he says no,
Yeah.
oh well. If he says yes, yay, let's work. So you need to put yourself out there. You need to put yourself out there, and if you don't have it, like somebody can help you. Go up there, share yourself to start building
Yeah.
your sovereignty right now. It's the best time to start is right now, y'all.
Absolutely,
I believe
absolutely.
that.
I think as well, going back just a little bit what you said about, you know, being independent and how you know, sometimes being independent or you know, getting kind of stuck in that energy of independence. You know, I always got to do this myself. I can't reach out to community and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. I understand that from a very personal level. I have Aries South Node conjunct Saturn. So I grew up as well very much
Yeah.
like not thinking, and that's a very core part of me is like I'm gonna do it all by myself, and then that plays
Yeah.
into all the Capricorn energy as
Yeah.
well, and all the Libra energy. It's like I don't need help. Fuck these motherfuckers. I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh girl, like you gotta go into your Libra North Node Chiron, like heal that energy and like, you know,
Yeah.
connect with people, connect with community. Um, it's so important. It's so
Yeah.
important.
It's true. It's true. And recently I've tweeted this, like, I love this world, and I might hate some spirits in it, but I do love this world, and I do love the possibility for us to connect and construct things that we never imagined before, because I have that Saturn in Aries. So I like to bring that new reality. That I like
Oh,
to,
you have Saturn Aries as well.
yeah, because I think we are from like 1 year away or 2 years away, not much, right?
Yeah.
So we share that energy. We are here to bring a new reality, and we must do that with the opposite, with the Libra, connecting, sharing that reality. Even if others thinks we crazy, hey, at least I'm doing something new, so shut up, right?
Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Okay, so next question from you.
What to ask? All right. Yeah, okay. Well, you're a Libra rising, like you said. Actually, before I ask this question, do you have any other Libra energy in your chart?
I have Mars in Libra
Mars in Libra.
in
All
the
right.
first house. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. That's why you're so driven and passionate in what you do. That's a really
Yeah,
cool
true,
energy
true.
to
Yeah,
have.
and I,
Cool.
I use
So,
a lot my hands when I'm speaking, because I have that ball of fire and air in my first house. So my hands, my face, my arms is my face. They are my face. They are my expressions. I use a lot, you know. Eh,
that's
Even
a polarity as well. That's a really cool energy to
what?
have.
A polarity?
That's yeah,
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
like in the one energy,
yeah.
because
Like
you say,
Mars
you
in
know,
Libra in the first house, right?
yeah,
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 I have that a lot, because then I have Sun in Aquarius in the fifth house. I have Saturn in Aries in the seventh house. I have Moon in Taurus in the eighth house. So, like, Mars doesn't like Libra, but likes the first house. The Moon likes
yeah,
Taurus, but don't like the eighth house. Saturn likes seventh house, but doesn't like Aries. The Sun likes Aquarius, doesn't like Aquarius, but likes the fifth house. So I'm very balance driven, especially with that
yeah,
Mars in the first house in Libra. I'm very balance driven. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so then to get to the question, you know, as we know, we're in Mercury retrograde right now, which is in Libra. What do
Yeah.
you think, you know, this is going to look like on people individually and then also as a collective? What do you think it's bringing in?
I mean, for the collective, I can say much, because I've been a bit flunked out in the mind. So I was like focusing, like,
Yeah.
because I have that much Libra energy, like when I go out, I catch everybody's conversation. And then sometimes I
Mhm.
participate in those conversations. And then I'm like, I'm mad because of something that, what, it was their conversation. I don't know them from anybody, from nowhere, and I'm mad because of that. It's like really crazy, right? So
Yeah.
I've been focusing more on, like, don't do that, because so I can speak a lot from the collective. from my personal experience, is like a lot of discussions that I've had with my friends, and I had the right argument to say, but I was so enraged, or I was so passionate that it flew my mind. I just wanted to prove them wrong. I didn't want to prove me right, you know? I was so focused in prove them wrong that I forgot to prove me right. You know, a lot of that. Like, you are so focused in going back to the past to show that, yeah, you're wrong, that, hey, where is your benefit? Why are you so right? You are trying to prove that I'm wrong. No, prove that you are right. Why are you so right? Why are you so passionate in showing me that I'm wrong if you don't even show any cards to signal me that you are right? Things like that, you know? A lot of, because I was very friendship based as well. I would depend a lot of my friends, and I had to separate. I had to detach for some of them, and I'm remembering how good it was. That's the positive side. I'm not mad anymore. I don't feel the toxicity anymore, and I'm able to be grateful because I never hated my friends in any step of my life. And I usually do say that to Daria and say that to myself, that I didn't separate because I was against them. I separate because I was doing things for me. I was in my favor. And now that Mercury is in Libra, that is very clear and very solid in my mind. So I'm open to relate with more people than usual, with that, like, we are already friends just because we were in the same space together. So it's like healing past relationships to create new relationships based on that healing. It's a lot about that, but that comes from a personal perspective. I've been taking myself away from the surroundings because I was catching too much ideas that I don't need to be thinking about. And
I watched your video about you know, the clothes that you wear, them being your armor.
Yeah,
and I remember you were wearing a lot of black because you didn't want to reflect.
Yeah, true, exactly.
You didn't want to get the energies that people were putting out in the
because I wanted
supermarket.
to be focused on my internal realm. I wanted to think about whatever was going on in me and leave them problems for them.
Yeah.
You know? But also, the Mercury in retrograde Libra, it's making me remind a dragon oracle card that I have, which is Queen Yin's Pink Dragon, which is heal your relationships or heal yourself through your relationships. And Mercury retrograde in Libra is a lot about that, because Libra is creating new ways to think and communicate, but the retrograde brings a past element to it. So you want to create new ways to think about past relationships. That is like healing. Like I'm doing mathematics right now. Libra plus retrograde means healing, because you are creating new ways to see the past, to accept yourself, to accept others, to be like, hey, we were clashing, but our hearts were open, and that's very important, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. You're a wise man.
Thank you. I mean, I have to be, because I don't have to be, but because I see so many real aspects in life that if I don't know how to make them make sense, I get lost in it, and it's very hard to then break out of that Taurus mood that I get fixed in it, and it's hard to come out if I don't know what is what. Like a lot about words as well. It's very important for me to know about. But let me save that for the next question that I got for you. Okay, I was entering in that subconsciously. I was entering in that aspect. Okay, so it's about your ancestors, like real ancestors, your grandparents, because I watched a live stream of yours. I think it was about how things happen faster in the esoteric realm, then a bit slower in the mind, a bit slower in the emotion. Yeah, that's it. And you were talking about the language that your grandparents were learning in Wales. I
Yes.
think it was in the same live stream, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes, I believe it was actually.
So
Yeah.
I'm asking you to remember the name of the language. So I don't. I think it's Kimberly, or that's a name.
Yeah, Kimru, which is
Yeah.
just Welsh. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I remember you saying how magic of the how magical that language was,
Yes.
and that's I want you to expand on that, because as I said, language is very important, deciphering words, right? And infinitely, England and Wales and Scotland, it was a place of various magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have few examples. Like, I play Pokemon a lot, and they inspire their games in certain geographical locations. The most recent game was inspired in England, right? And there is a specific location. It's a forest with like glowing mushrooms and fairies, and that makes me remind the Arthurian legends of the Lady in the Lake, the sword in the stone, of Merlin and things like that. And we can't forget that Wales was one of the last places to be annexed to the UK. So Wales maintained that original that, to my perspective, pushed more spiritual, more fiery way to communicate. And recently, you tweeted how English, in the English language, and the city of Sydney are very
Yes.
not organized, not structured. And that's true,
Yeah.
because English is a very bastard language. It's very easy to confuse, to play with the terms. And I think that was actually on purpose. So we can go from the language from your grandparents, that as we speak, our intentions come through. And now we are in a language that you need to express yourself 4 times for your true intentions to come true. So we come from an extreme to another. And I would like for you to just to speak about your experience with that language, what you know, how that makes you feel, so I can know more about it, and the people in the chat can know more about it, because our words are spells indeed.
Sure, sure. Well, I didn't grow up learning Welsh or anything like that. Even my grandparents didn't really grow up learning Welsh, because when the English invaded Wales and took over Wales, they basically said, you shouldn't be speaking the English, you shouldn't be speaking Welsh or Cymry, as it's said in Welsh, because basically you're unintelligent if you.
They always use that argument. Always.
They do. They do.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
It's ridiculous. So that was one of the things. They also said that the Welsh language made people not want to basically fuck each other, because it was like that's what they used. That was the propaganda that they used against it.
I see that. Yeah, I see.
Made it very hard for people basically to use their own language. The Welsh language. Because even my grandparents don't know it. My mum didn't grow up knowing it or anything like that. So I think it's important. It was only in the 60s actually that they started to get more, I guess, passionate, more passionate about, being able to actually bring back their culture and reclaim it. And now they have it in a lot of schools as well. Now they're actually teaching it in the schools, and they're bringing it back, because the Welsh people, they're very proud people of their culture, and I think that's something that happens as well. Like, when you have your culture taken away from you, you become extra prideful of that culture. You want to protect it at all costs, and so because my family didn't get to do that, and I don't even think they have the desire to do that. Now that they're in Australia, they're very Australian. They kind of don't really have that, deep connection with Wales so much. But when I grew up as a kid, I thought it was so interesting that they were from this other country and they had this other language that was so difficult to understand, because Welsh is like a ridiculous language. It almost doesn't make sense, because it's I don't know, they seem to speak in riddles.
It's very spiritual. I believe it's very fiery, and the language we speak, it's very airy, like the Aryans, they are people from the air element. The white people, they have more air element. I actually have a video on IG talking about that, and how the people from the air used logical and terms to make the people that were already here, the older spirits, they were more fiery and more watery. And the Aries, the Aryans, they use the things like that. You're not smart enough. You too animalistic. You fight too much. You fuck too much. You drink too much. Come to our schools. Come to our churches. You know.
Yeah.
So into my perspective, it's a very fiery language. That's why it doesn't make sense, because our perspective of sense, it's air. You know, it's terms and grammar and punctuation. You know, and you know, all of those things that for like even people in Africa, even people, the natives of Australia, they all got their own that doesn't make sense language. There is even people in Africa, they use whistles as part of their language. You know, they make like sounds like part of their language, you know. And for us, that doesn't make sense, but they can express way more, actually. They can express their feelings. They can express their visions, you know, in a more deeper way that we can do, in my perspective,
I agree. I agree. I agree. As we know, the English language is bastardized. It's a flunked out fucking language. Like, let's be real. You know, I feel really bad actually for you know, people who are learning English as a, you know, second or third or whatever language, because even as a native, you know, English speaker, English is fucking hard. Like, and I would say I'm like relatively good at English. You know, I think I've got a good handle on it. But you know, there's also the levels of it as well. Like, you can go up to the really like high up university scholar kind of English, and then you have, you know, your basic dishes, and then you have on slang languages. Like it becomes its own thing. And I think it's actually important for us. Like, you know, you have a look at the English language, and especially now that we have, you know, like the internet and everything like that, and we can actually, you see how quickly language is changing and morphing with other, you know, all the different cultures and everything. And it's becoming, I mean, it already has become something completely different to what it even originally was. So it's like we're constantly creating, you know, new terminologies and how to express stuff. I think it's important.
Even the English language is a mixture of Latin, of Germanic, of Hebrew, of Nordic terms. Like we have Thursday, Friday. Friday is the Norse god for Venus. We have all of that in our daily to-day life. So I think it's not important, but it can be very helpful to be aware of those air mental games, mental structures type of things. And that question was more to highlight how we came from more what they call primitive, but way more expressive, way more connective way of speaking, to a more distant and cold way of expressing ourselves.
Definitely. And then you have a look at some other languages as well. Like you have a look at Turkish, or I believe I think Korean as well, where they've been made, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but you know, they've been made very in a structured way to ensure that it's just very, you know, you can learn it very easily. You know what, there's a
interesting
to it. Where English, I feel like, you know, we have some kind of like guidelines, but it also breaks away from the guidelines a lot, and it becomes a very confusing kind of thing. So I think it goes both ways. You were talking about, you know, the fire, the passionate kind of, you know, languages as well, that are very based on feelings and emotions and that kind of thing. But then there's also that maybe even earth-based energy of like, all right, let's sit down, let's structure this out really nicely. This is how the format is going to go.
I agree, because I think at one point in time that was needed, you know, because imagine I have my own vision and I make a sound. You have no idea what I just envisioned, right? But if you are part of a tribe, if we share a culture, we can understand each other. But I think there was a time when tribes were mixing with each other. So we needed to like, we all use that word now so we can understand each other. It was needed, but then that power was abused. Like the shadow government, I believe that the system once upon a time was needed for the evolution of mankind. But then they weren't able to, like, it's time to start to do things in a different way. No, they just carried away, and language is a perfect example of that. You know, how it was needed for us to come together, and it grew so much that now it's separating us. And so that's, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it.
I think even just to add one last point, I think even like let's have a look at the soul group as well.
Yeah.
And you know, I think particularly you know, in the middle of all of this, you know, we have Dolo, for example, and you can have a look at all the terminologies and the new languages that be constructed within the soul group. You know, talk about, you know, flunked out, magic squares, all this kind of thing, going to Yale, like all this sort of stuff. You know, creating new terminologies so that we can all understand what the fuck we're talking about.
Real shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's us like bringing that fire element back into the game. Because that's what they do. They bring Uriel out of the Bible. They bring the fire, because Bible is the, in Portuguese, a library is the biblioteca. The word Bible means book, means writing down, you know. So we are bringing back the fire into the Bible. We are bringing back that highly connectivity back into our books and shit like that. And that's beautiful. Yeah, indeed.
Love it.
So I'm ready for the next question you got for me.
Okay. My next question is, what drove you to become a teacher of esoteric knowledge?
Curiosity and helping myself, because on one side I have Aquarius, on the other I have Taurus. So either way, I will get fixed. Either way, right? So by me making videos, it helps me like realize that I've learned new things. It helps me understand new things. And sometimes that Taurus Moon goes too deep, and my Aquarius Sun starts to doubt itself. Like, oh, I really don't know. Like, I know that, but I don't know how to explain that. And when I'm like, I don't care, I'll go and I make a video. Most times I start a bit more slow, but when I start to get into the flow, I start to say things that I wasn't even thinking about. It starts to flow out. So it started as a personal help, a personal medication, esoteric medication, right? And then it's just because I have Sagittarius in the 3rd house, right?
Okay,
so since I grew up in my surroundings, if I can help somebody see things from a higher perspective, I will do it. I don't care if they see me as crazy. I don't care if they oppose me, the better. I like that. I have a lot of Aquarius energy. Let's fight a little bit, right? I like that. And wait, I forgot my point real quick. And that's where actually the name Esoteric Cloud Surfer came out from. Because what I want to do, and I always enjoy to do, is to bring to a lighter perspective. Like, yes, you are living under the bridge right now, but now you can do everything you want. You have a free start. You are not limited by certain times, regulations. You can start wherever, you can take whatever path you want. That's just an example, right? So what started, it was a self-helping mechanism. What made me continue was the fact that I was actually helping myself feel and see things from a higher perspective, and then the possibility to connect with other people that not only accept my individuality but also celebrate it makes me feel very excited and passionate, and I want to do that every day. And that's it.
Fantastic. I agree with that. I think, what you said, like, you know, being able to actually see around people getting excited about what you're sharing, and you know, coming to a common ground, you know, learning something new. I think that's I think that does definitely drive a person. Teachers particularly, I think.
So it was, yeah, it was very about me broadcasting what I know. Like it can stay,
Yeah.
all of that can stay in my head. Even if I'm talking some bullshit, I will express that. That's why I never delete videos. That's a personal thing that I do. I never delete my videos because at one point in time, that was my best expression of my individuality.
Yeah.
Like I can go and look at it and feel weird about it, but I will not delete it. Like it happened one time. I did that one time and I never did it again because I thought I was too aggressive. I thought I was too much. No, I was being myself. And me deleting that video left such a harsh taste in my mouth. I never did that again, and I will never do.
I
At
agree with
least if
that entirely.
at least if I'm in my highest state.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I've done that before as well. I used to get so like, so I've got a sixth house sun, you know, I would get so
Yeah.
obsessive
Oh.
about it. I would be like,
Rest well. Okay. Hold on. You are a bit choppy.
Is it all right?
Hold on.
We're good again? Okay.
Yeah, now it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a point where I was actually deleting videos. I'd go back and I'd be like, oh no, this is so cringe. Like I have to delete it.
Yeah.
And there got a point where I was like, I can't just keep going back and deleting videos. Like at some point, like I said what I fucking said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just hold true to that.
Instantly.
And most of the time, it wasn't even that I was saying anything bad. It was just that I had grown beyond that point. So looking back on it, felt like I was looking back at myself in a weakened, lesser state. Yeah.
That's it. Because you feel weird because now you see things in a wider perspective. But at that point, that expression was your highest perspective at that point.
Exactly.
So you deleting it is like you hating the steps that you made through your current situation. And then that is making me remember an anime that I watched called Megai. And in that anime, they have a state called the state of deprivation. That happens when you start to hate your past. You start to hate yourself because you made those decisions, right? You made the decisions that lead you to this current path. And when you do that, in that anime, they have the flow of life, they call Ruth. And if you are on the positive side, they are like some yellow butterflies, shiny butterflies. But when you are in the state of deprivation, they become black. So that represents you hating. You don't recognize the potential to grow. You don't recognize all possibilities. You don't recognize that where you are right now were your choices. So where you are going to be then is the choices of right now. So when you start to hate those past moments, you are hating yourself right now as well, you know?
Absolutely. And if you want to look at it from like a visual perspective, think about, you know, a staircase, right? You have to go up one step to get to the next one, but then all of the steps below you, even though you don't need them anymore because you're going up, it's still your foundation. It's still what's holding up the step you're on.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important.
Yeah. It's very about that, recognizing that you climbed those steps. You went through that staircase. So if you hate on that, you are hating on yourself right now. And that's not cool. Right?
That's not cool.
Okay. Ready for the next question?
Ready.
Okay. So, that is gone. Yeah. What advices do you get for magic practices, especially for beginners, right? What advices do you have, like maybe not going too far, how to know when you are going too far, something like that?
Yeah, something I've noticed in the community as people are just starting to open themselves to the knowledge that they realistically already know, you know, but they often will open themselves up and they'll understand that there's other energies other than themselves, and they start to feel these things. And something I've noticed is that often that's when the more, I suppose, trickster spirits and manipulative
Yeah.
spirits, demonic spirits, that kind of thing will usually come to a person.
In the
And
beginner stage.
in the beginner
Yeah.
state,
Okay, I see.
they may not have all of the tools or the
To discern.
knowledge. Yes, exactly. To discern and to also navigate all of
Yeah.
that as well. You know, I think when you've you know, dealt with spirits and you know, even spirits in the term of, you know, thought and things like that, you know, you can kind of navigate it pretty well. You can be like, okay, well, you need to go this way, or, you know, you need to get out or
Yeah.
whatever. But when you first begin, you don't really know that you can do that, or that you should do that. So there might be certain entities or whatever coming to you and utilizing your space.
Yeah.
If you don't have that boundary between, you know, yourself and, you know, the other energies, I suppose, you you can, I suppose, get infiltrated in a way, and they can start utilizing your space for their own agendas and their own energies and things like that, which can get you flunked out like a motherfucker.
True.
And it can be very dangerous as well. You know, there's people who message me sometimes who are like, all right, I'm open to all of this now, but now I'm hearing voices. And it's like, well, shit, let's not do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, you gotta learn, you gotta have that discernment for every energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not being all open,
Mm-hmm.
but step by step opening yourself so you
Yeah.
don't get that overload. Actually,
Yeah.
I have a great example because Aquarius is the water bearer, right? Or the
Yes.
representation of Aquarius is the water bearer. And one time I had that big bottle of water with 5 liters. I don't know the name in English, but it's a very large container of water. And I had a small container of water, a smaller bottle, which was empty, and it was a plastic bottle. And when I was pouring the water into the bottle, I did it so fast, the water immediately fell. But if you like give the water from the big one to the small one in a slowly, the bottle doesn't fall. And when it got a base, then you can pour all the water in because the bottle doesn't fall anymore. So that because I was thinking about the water bearer and things like that, that was like, yeah, that's exactly like it. I can throw all my knowledge to somebody. I can be all open right now because that would be too much, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's
You
your
said
advice. Don't open too much, know your limits and boundaries, and be patient, I guess.
Yes, yes. And be very discerning. Be very, very discerning. Yes, don't think that just because it comes to you that you have to adopt that belief.
That's true. That's very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very important.
You need to, I guess that goes back as well, you know, to one of your original questions, which was, you know, how do you stand between, you know, your business and your, you know, spirituality, or so to speak. It's that balance, and, you know, knowing when to dive in and how to dive in as well, versus, you know, like, who are you and what is everything else, and what do you stand for, what do you believe?
Because I remembering one of the first, actually I think it was the first live stream I watched from you. You were speaking how you asked Uranus for something and Uranus changed too much, you know?
Oh God, yes.
Because that's a good example. Yeah. You were like, hey, Uranus, I'm ready. And he was like,
yeah,
you sure? And you're like, yeah,
sure, bitch?
Yeah. Okay. You got it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I will actually tell that story if you don't mind, just for anyone. Basically in 2017, I thought I was so ready to jump off and you know, go about my life in just the best, biggest way. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna call upon Uranus, and I'm gonna ask Uranus to just change my life for me. And I called upon, and look, I wasn't specific. I didn't say, hey, Uranus, can you, you know, link me up with, you know, success and abundance and all that. I just said, change my life, girl. Like, let's go. And then I ended up becoming homeless, and I was living in a van on the side of the road for 2 months. And that was, you know, that's one of the fucking Saturnian lessons I learned.
Indeed.
and it was a great fucking, you know,
Learning
great
lesson.
lesson.
Indeed.
And I definitely learned not to, I learned how to be specific for one.
True.
Yeah, now you can continue now what you
Yeah.
were going to say.
Because I had an idea, but then as you were speaking, I got another idea. So let's
yes.
go to that. Because I remember great advice that I have, especially for people like they're hearing voices or they're hearing noises. Most times you are hearing yourself, so don't be scared. You are just connecting with a part of yourself that was in the dark. You didn't care about that. Now you care about that, and you need to like pay the debts. You are indebted to that part of yourself. So now you have to talk with them. Why do you think are hearing voices? They want to talk with you. They want your attention, right? And
Absolutely.
another thing, it's I don't know if you literally called upon Uranus like that, but your example, I'm using your example, not using your real how you did it. You said Uranus changed my life for me, and even Daria is quoting that because that's very important. There is a very like wording that's like for me, and like I didn't know if you said that in that way, but the best way to say that will be changed with me or help me change, because when we say for me, it's like okay, I'm taking the wheel. I'm taking the wheel. You have no responsibility here. You have no authority. So it's very important to spiritual responsibility. You are opening yourself. You chose to open yourself, right? We have discernment. I can open the door for you, but you need to walk through the door. I can't push you. So it's all about you. It's all about what are you ready to accept? What are you ready to process and things like that. Yeah.
Definitely. And if you ask for change, be ready for fucking change.
Yeah, and be specific. And be specific.
Please.
Yeah, that's very important. Very important.
Okay. Don't learn from me. Don't go through it yourself, all right?
Yeah.
Lessons learned.
Okay, got it. So, next question from you. Ready.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess it kind of goes on from the last question as well, in a way. Do you have any advice to anybody wanting to learn more about astrology and spirituality and the subconscious and all that kind of thing?
Very, very practical about astrology. Learn the elements first and learn the modalities first. Then you go to Aquarius, the houses, and things like that. And into spirituality, it might sound very simple, but is express yourself. Even if you are a little shaky, like I used to watch Ralph Smart, and it was like, even if your voice is a little shaky, a little samba, express yourself, because that's building foundations for when you are about to manifest, and you see that space, you go for it, but expressing yourself openly. Like, even if you are afraid, even if you have insecurities, express yourself anyway. Even if you lose some friends, even if you lose some family members, express yourself anyway. Because, there was a last live stream I did. It was about Mercury and Libra in retrograde. I don't remember. I was talking about how Neptune was in retrograde. And Neptune was in some degrees that was about relating, And I was like, you need to use your expression as a sonar, and as bats do. I don't know if you know how bats get aware of their surroundings. Like, they echo and they receive the feedback from the echo. So you expressing yourself works like that. You express yourself. What is your voice, sound, frequency, and vibration, right? Your own frequency and vibration. You express that, and then somebody respond to you, somebody don't respond to you, somebody accept you, somebody hate you, and that enables you to be aware of your spiritual surroundings. You can have like an image of what places can you go with your frequency and vibration will be accepted and celebrated. So if you want to get into spirituality, the first step is to accept yourself and express yourself. Because that will help you know yourself, know your surroundings. Who can you team up with? Who should you run away from? who can accept you, who will celebrate you. You create like a sonar, you create an esoteric image, and that's the best way to start, in my opinion. You know, start expressing yourself. If you need, detach from family and friends. If you need, because last year or 2 years ago, it was a trend to detach. Oh, grandma is the devil. My mom is the devil. Hey, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you the devil, and they should separate from you. You know. So make sure you need to separate, but it's very important, because if you're spiritual, you will attract their insecurities. You will attract their fucked up manifestations, because you are open to all possibilities, right? So sometimes just separate, but not because you are against them, because you are for you. Express yourself. And about astrology, learn the elements and the modalities first, then the signs and the houses. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Great advice.
Thank you. So I got one last question. Yeah, because you had a question for me, but it was the Trinity question, right?
Yes.
So for a question directed for the unbelievers, quote unquote. I've seen that post on Instagram. Somebody, it was like, you don't need to believe in Japanese. Japanese exists. You don't need to believe in English. English exists because the languages, and astrology is a language as well. So in that format, in that context, how, from your perspective, how can you show others that magic, spirituality, believing in yourself, words, magic, how can they improve your daily lifestyle? Just like doing laundry, cooking, going to work, or going into your creativity. Like normal, normal day, normal people. What can the normal people do to help them to, I mean, wait, I was like, how the normal people can help themselves be normal. It's not about that. It's like, how can they integrate magic and spirituality into their day-to-day life in a smooth, balanced, chill way, without spookism, without extremism, you know?
Yeah. Well, just going off what you said as well, before I get into the question about, you said, like something doesn't need to exist for, for it to exist. I think there's a quote that's like, the truth doesn't need you to acknowledge that it's truth for it to be truth, which I think is very important. And I think, we all have different perspectives on everything. So what is magic to one person won't be magic to another person. Yeah, there's a family member of mine. He isn't into anything like this, and I was at a family party basically, and I brought my cards, one of my card decks with me, because everyone likes to kind of experience it and see what it is and that kind of thing. And he said he didn't want any part of it. He didn't believe it. He'd had a sister who kind of tried to shove it down his throat a little bit, and he wasn't into it. And I allowed him to kind of sit back, and I was like, you don't have to believe it, like that's all good, you can have your own belief. And it created, I think, a more comfortable space for him. Later on in life, he actually said to me, he said, I don't find God or whatever through this kind of thing, but when I'm sitting alone in the darkness in an empty field out in the mountains, that's where I connect. And I think it's just finding what works for you. Maybe that's waking up every day and saying a thanks, or saying affirmations, or a prayer, or that can start your day, or just having an intention for your day. Like, okay, today I'm going to work on my physical reality. I'm going to clean my house, or today I'm going to focus on just making sure that I'm okay on the inside, or today I'm going to expand my knowledge higher into something. I think that can go into it. Just finding what works for you and what makes you feel in connection with yourself and the world around you, whatever that is for you. And it's going to look so different to every person.
Don't follow doctrines, don't follow practices. If you have like a spiritual guru or something like that, and they say you need to do this to be in peace with yourself, no, that's lostness. You don't need to follow a certain set of rules, because spirituality is individuality. So you really need to find your best way to connect with yourself, and then relate that connection with yourself to the external world. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Couldn't have said it better myself.
okay, what?
I said,
What?
couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay. Nice. So if you don't have any more questions, we're fine. We're good.
I think we're good. I think we've covered a lot of bases here
I
today,
do
and
too.
it's
Yeah, we were creating a circle. We were exploring reality, La La Land, spirituality, language. Yeah.
yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the
I
format.
very much enjoyed it.
Me
Thank you
too.
so much for having me on here, and thanks so much for the Soul Group as well for coming into the chat and being
Yeah, shout
here.
out to everybody that was watching the live stream. We got a lot of people coming through. Your support is really appreciated. Thank you, Arch. I really enjoyed the interview. We had some good insights. I think we went into a lighter space to see our circumstances from a lighter perspective. So, everybody watching right now, remember to check my link tree on my profile, and to check Archangel on her page, the link to her page on her profile. Damn it. All right. And that's it. Thank you very much, Arch. It was a pleasure having you here. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed the session, because I did. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, see you guys.
I'm surfing out. Arch is surfing out. Until the next time, take care of yourself and enjoy yourself. Bye.
Bye.